Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to our Thursday broadcast of an inspirational message that hopefully touches your heart from the TCI family, us, to you guys. You know, these are just simple messages, and they're not complicated. You'll see this next year a lot of more exciting and a lot more professional done stuff because our team's really growing. But I really look forward to these Mondays and Thursdays and delivering these messages and seeing people's lives changed by the emails that are coming back in and the phone calls and the personal discussions with members and people who are friends of members of the church. Today, Monday, what did we talk about? We spoke on conquering our mountains, right? And remember, I might have mentioned, it's the end of the year. We're looking at next year. We were talking about some goals for next year and what we did this year. And that's what I kind of want to talk about. And so it's really running with the theme of what we talked on Monday, continuation of it. So when you look at, as an example, a year, I try to spend my month of December, specifically the last 2 weeks for sure, but I really try to start it pretty early, usually the second week. And I like to look at what my goals were from the previous year and what I wrote down. And journaling is so important to success. From all of my personal mentors, from Tony Robbins and Dr. John Maxwell and Dr. Norman Vincent Peale and Dr. Schuler and all these great men and women, Jerry Lucas, many, many more. And these men and these women in my life, well, they taught me to journal because that's where I put in all of my raw emotions, what I was feeling when the company took a blow or what I was feeling when the company had a triumph. And I try to look at things and try to figure out how I can better handle and manage the things coming at you in life, like managed expectations, right? If I have the expectation that everyone's going to do what I want them to do on a specific date at a specific party, I will be gravely disappointed. So you got to learn to manage your expectations. Well, you can only do that if you can go and kind of look inward and take that deep, sometimes dark look inside. And that's what I like to use December for. So as you're closing your year out here, we've only got less than half just at half the mark actually through the month. And we got a lot of busy holidays coming here, right? So let's think about this and start to ponder. What did we do this year? What were our goals? What did you set forward in January or last December to accomplish this year? What did you fail? And in failing, did you succeed at all? And then what did you conquer? What did you hit? What goals did you hit? And how did you hit them? What did you do to make that successful so we can try to follow that path? And that's what a lot of this month is about. It's retrospectively looking back at all the decisions we made, the fast decisions, the on the spur of the moment decisions, the planned decisions, all of it. And you got to analyze it truthfully. And that's not easy because you got to look in yourself and you're going to have to tear apart yourself. And if you're not able to do that, then you need a mentor to sit with you and do it. Okay? I couldn't do it in the beginning, I'll be honest with you. I told all my mentors I knew it all. I was all-knowing, and there was nothing you could tell me. My youngest son used to actually tell people, my dad knows everything, but only God knows everything. Well, I don't know everything, and it's taken me 46 years to figure that out. But here's the interesting thing. My success in life came only after mentors were able to start speaking into my life, telling me, hey, knucklehead, you're missing it, man. I am? Yeah. How am I missing it? And they show you. And then you see a path, and you're like, wow. It's like that eureka moment. You're just like, I can't believe I missed this. It was right in front of me this whole time. That's why it's important to have people with you in your journey. If you're doing it alone, if you tell people, man, it's lonely at the top, you'll never understand. Then I hope they don't ever understand because you're doing it wrong. It's not lonely at the top at all. Because I take friends with me. Dr. John Maxwell taught me that lesson in his little church down there in San Diego in those meetings. And it was before all the celebrity and before the 100 books and the 20 New York Times bestsellers and all of that. Before the presidents and all the NBA leagues and the NFLs bring them in and the Fortune 500 companies. Here's what he said. He said, listen to me. I hear pastors and successful businesswomen and businessmen say all the time, it's lonely at the top, you don't know what it's like. And he just remembered an old saying from his grandfather and his family, and they were discussing it, and it was something along that line, which is, hey, it's only lonely if you go by yourself. So don't go alone. Take people with you on this journey. Have people know what your goals are. It makes you accountable to your goals. It's easy to say, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. Well, if you don't tell nobody, then there's no loss. There's no worrying about, I got to hit that goal. And you don't have people trying to help you. So you don't have someone saying, hey, want to go take an extra walk today? I know you're trying to get that 20 pounds off. I really wanted to go play some tennis. Or do you want to go climb a mountain with me? I'm looking to go. Because if you have people around you and you're working towards that goal together, well, together, you know what the word team means? Together, everyone achieves more. So let's not do things in life alone. Let's get out there as a family. And that's what TCI is. We're a family here. Some of us are just coming to the base of our mountain, right? We talked about the mountains on Monday. So you're at the base of the mountain, and in 2022, you're looking at the top of that going, I'm going to the top. Woohoo! Yeah! Well, guess what? 2022, I am going to the top. Myself, and the last time I checked, it was 8 of us that summited, I think it was 8 of us, that summited Mount St. Helens. Well, we're doing in 4 months, countdown, we're going to Mount Adams. We're going to climb up there. We're going to stay the night up on top of that thing. It's going to be cold. And then we're going to summit the next day. Then we're going to go do that at Mount Adams. And then we get to go summit Mount Baker. And those 3 mountains are some major mountains, and we're going to do that all in this year. And I bet you there's going to be a few more people wanting to come along on these trips. And that's okay. Come along if you're interested. Get a hold of us. Let us know. But listen, some of you are like me. I'm physically looking at a mountain and I'm going, okay. And then each month I've got 2 training trips at other mountains and specific things to learn. And how to become a better alpinist. To how to climb these alpine regions and the mountains. And how to safely get to the top. And more importantly, safely get down to the base. Okay? And some of you, well, some of us, we're also on top of the mountain. And the storm up there has been raging. And we've been in this massive mountain. And it's like we just want to get off. We just want this year to end. Can COVID please go away? Can my marriage please have peace? Can I please stop having an alcoholic family? Can I please no longer have a drug addict for a son or a daughter? Please, I want to get off this mountain. Okay. Then let's get off. Let's go. Stop begging and start making decisions. Start taking steps. I have a young man in my life that is taking on the position of doing the web design for our church. And it's interesting. I'm going to tell you a fault. I looked at him and I judged him. And I pride myself on trying not to judge people, but I did. I didn't even know I did it, and I did it. And now all of a sudden I look at a man and he actually has been listening to everything I've been saying to this man since our relationship started. Like everything sunk in. He's got it all down and he's thriving. And he is a man that understands that you have to be a man of your word. He understands that if you break your word, you're worthless because all you have in this world is your word. He understands the concept of being a hard-working man. Or as most of you know my favorite saying, excuse my French, but he knows how to be a grown-ass man. Now, he also knows how to take care of a woman. He knows to open the door. He knows to be polite. He knows to show respect. He knows to write love letters to that woman when he finds her. He knows this. Why? Not because I tell him what to do, because I've modeled it in my life. So he's seen this, and I'm now seeing this person become this man that I never knew. Wow. See, everyone's mountain, some are at the beginning of it, some are at the top, some want to get off, some are so excited about it, but you got to keep going to the next one. So that's the thing about mountains, right? You get to the top, it's great. It's so exhausting, and it's like, and then all of a sudden, one of your leaders tell you, hey, by the way, look down. And you're like, I know, we climbed way down there, that little dot. Yeah, we still got to get there, so let's go. And that's the most dangerous part. Now, mountains. What's at the top of the mountain? Nothing, really. At a certain level of elevation, the trees cease to exist up there. Why? There's not enough oxygen to keep the trees growing. That's why if you ever drive up mountains, you'll see the trees get thinner, smaller, littler, older, falling down, nothing. And that's because the oxygen. They need oxygen, okay? So when you get up to the top, it's if you go to Everest, there's a level known as the death zone. I don't quote me. I want to say it's 27,000 feet. If you're above that level, or maybe it's 24,000 feet. I can't remember. It's the last couple thousand feet before you get to the top of Everest, which I think is 27 or 28,000. But it's the last few thousand feet that is like the dead zone. Your body can't. You're literally dying the second you get there. And so as you're climbing, you're dying. And when you think about that, it's a death zone. So going to the top is a death zone. Why? Well, then you got to go back down, right? Into the valley, where it's fertile, where there's lush, green rivers, trees, shrubs, vegetables, fruits, life, animals, substance, resources. But getting to the top made you different. It did make you different. You have been touched if you've ever summited a mountain. There's a thing about summiting a mountain that has changed my life. I owe my friend Brian for that. I've been dreaming of climbing massive mountains my whole life, and I just never did it. Oh, I hiked a couple trails, and I did some hiking as a kid. I actually did a lot of hiking, but as an adult, I hiked a couple trails. That was it. It was, give me the helicopter to the top, and I'll be happy. But when you walk from that bottom to the top, and you look over the mass mountain of like Mount St. Helens, and you see the destruction of that volcano, and it blew out, and you're standing there. It's no longer a picture where it looks like a little drawing. You're at the crest, looking down into the abyss, and you see it all. The actual volcano is regrowing. St. Helens is so active, and it's going to grow and grow and grow and grow and blow again. Okay? Something changes you when you go up there. And when you go back down to the fertile valley for the substance, for the nutrients, for the life, you're a changed person. You're a better person if you learn those lessons. Just walking up it doesn't do it. You have to learn lessons. One of the lessons you learn in mountain climbing, don't cut the switchbacks. My friend Brian, we're walking down this mountain, and it's a switchback, goes like, along the wall, kind of drops down, then comes back. And then it turns and slips and comes down a little lower, and it just switches back and forth. So it gets you down the mountain safely. And there's a reason. I didn't know the reason. But there's a reason. I knew there was a reason. I just didn't know it. And so we're walking down the mountain that we summited, this one mountain. And it was one of our training mountains that we do every month. And I don't know, it was like maybe 5,000 feet or 4,000 feet, something like that. It's not a big one. And as we're coming down, it's the afternoon, because we like to get off our cars and get off there at about 6 in the morning maybe. Get up early, get to it before the crowds get around. And so we're sitting there coming down, and the crowds are all packing it in, and it's like, oh my Lord, this is just not fun. And I'm looking, and Brian and my guys, they're at the end of the turn at that next switchback. And the one right below that they're about to walk on is like 3 feet. It's like 3 feet in front of me. And I'm like, you know what? Bah humbug. Walk down the 3 steps. This is just this last year. This year. And I cut it. I cut the switchback. And I hear in the distance my friend, and Brian goes, oh, JB, we have to talk. Man, I want you to know, he comes up and he's like, JB, you can't cut the switchback. Why not? Look, dude, it's rocks. He goes, right. Do you know we had to kick boys out of the Cub Scouts because they cut switchbacks? Do you know why you can't cut the switchback? And I'm like, I don't know why. Well, if you cut it, it creates a new path, and water comes down, and it will wash out the actual paths. And that's why they have these switchbacks, so that the water doesn't just wash it all down. And when he was done, I felt like crying. I was like, I'm sorry, Grandpa. I didn't mean to let you down. That's how I felt. It was horrible. To this day, by the way, when someone says, "Do you cut switchbacks?" you'll hear our whole group yell, and I'm the loudest. You never cut the switchback! Right, Alex? Sorry, that's a personal note to a friend. Anyways, so, the switchbacks. You go through it, right? And you go down, and I broke that. I broke this law on the mountain. Well, it's just a mountain. Is it? Is it really? Business. I've been doing business since I was a boy. My summers as a kid, when I got back from summer break and the teacher tells everyone in the class, "Hey, today we're just going to tell everybody what we did for the summer." And every kid's going through there. "We went to Disneyland. We went fishing. We went hiking. We went camping. We rode horses. We watched TV." Whatever it was. And they got to me and I'm like, "Oh, it was so exciting." So, my dad, of course, he's a pastor of a large church, and they have these board meetings, and we had to fly to a conference, and then I had to attend a board meeting, and I had to learn about, and they're just like, "Okay, that's great." And then the next summer, "Okay, Jonathan, what'd you do?" "Oh, it was so much fun." So y'all know Dad, he's a very powerful man in the business world and Fortune 500 companies, and he was a CEO of this company, and it merged with another publicly traded company, and it was like a hostile takeover, but then turned into a friendly takeover. And I was in the board meetings for all of it and the negotiations, and I had to learn who was lying and who wasn't, and I had to understand espionage, or what they call corporate espionage. And I start talking all this, and kids are like ready to fall asleep. But that's what I did for myself as a kid. I traveled. My father would take me to the seminars to meet Dr. Norman Vincent Peale and all these great ministers who could pour into my life because he was putting me in a place and positioning me for success. He knew that at one point he would be gone, and he is, my birth father. And so he positioned me with great men that could give me knowledge that I would need down the road. And so what's interesting is if you cut the switchback in business, I'm here to tell you, you're going to end up in bankruptcy court, fraud, prison, loss of job, loss of company, loss of respect. You can't cut the switchback. There are certain processes you have to follow. I'm a fourth generational preacher, going back to my great-grandpa John Stopek. Okay? And listen to me. I am here to tell you something. If you cut the switchback in building your ministry, you will suffer. Okay? Can you recover from the switchback, breaking it? Absolutely. I'm redeemed and proof of that. I cut the switchback. My friend Brian forgave me. But he never lets me live it down. And that reminder, I have turned it into a lesson that the rest of my life I will remember. And anytime I do something, I'm going to think, am I cutting short here? I do it a lot now with my workouts at the gym. I was in there and I was doing some butterflies, right? So I'm sitting like this. I'm trying to beef up, actually, some muscle. And so I'm doing these flies, and I'm just doing this. And I'm kind of getting a little lackadative, right? So all of a sudden, I kind of come back to about here. And I'm like, I'm still doing it, but I'm like, what the? Am I shortcutting it? Whoa, I am. I need to go all the way back. Okay, now I feel that. Oh, I could only do 3. I was doing, I think, 13 or 14 reps. After doing it properly, I could only do 3, which means I was using too much weight because I wasn't doing the muscle and the actual workout properly because I was cutting the switchback. See, mountaineering has all these wonderful little trails that it takes you on, just like life. Some trails are really hard and difficult, very dangerous. I am here to tell you, there have been people who have died on the same very trails that I walk on and hike and climb with my friends. So people die. Don't take back that mountain climbing is something easy. They die all the time. 20% of every person that goes up the Mount Everest every year dies. So if 5 of you go on a party, well, a couple of you are not coming back. So there are some serious things to take into consideration. Life's the same way. Take a gun, pull it out. You got a split second to make a decision. Do I shoot this person or do I not shoot this person? They're coming at me. They're in my house. Do I take this person's life? Do I not take this person's life? Come on, hurry, hurry. And the man's running at you and he's screaming, ah! What do? It's like a split decision. Just bang. Could cost you your life. Could cost you imprisonment because certain states' laws, Don't allow it. If they're not in the door, they got to be outside the house. You shoot them as they're coming in, they can prosecute you. There's all kinds of things. And it's all about taking and looking at experiences. If I take a life, what are the consequences? What does that affect? How does that affect you for the rest of your life? Trust me. Believe you me, you never want to take a life. It changes you. And I look at the mountain. And I think about when you see those pictures of those men that died on those mountains. They're so high up, the bodies are left there out of respect. And mostly because they can't risk other lives to just rescue a body. And so the mountains are dangerous, and so is life. So is life. You get married, you're vulnerable. You open your heart and your chest, you rip it open, and you say, here I am. I heard a husband and a wife once say, you know how you know if you really have a relationship with someone? They know the darkest, deepest, worst thing about you. And they still choose to love you. Look back in your year. What is that one thing for you? What was the one thing? What is the worst thing about you? Does your loved one, your partner, does he know it? Does she know it? There's freedom in that. There's such freedom in just being honest with your partners. I can't even express to you how much freedom there is in being truthful of who you are as a person. When you put on a facade and you make yourself look different. See, I could do that too. I could put the tie on properly, and I could have the pulpit, and I could do the little 4 square church walls. I've done it. It's really easy to do, and people love to come, and money comes in, and that's great and dandy. But that's not me. That's not who I am. So I wouldn't be doing what God's called me to do. So I had to choose that path on the mountain. You see that? Some paths go this way, and that's okay. I have a friend who pastors this beautiful little church. It's a small church. They got like 3,000 people in it. It's a little beautiful church in the country out there in Texas. His daddy was a famous preacher. He's a famous preacher now. He's a good buddy. We went to school together, seminary. Here's the interesting thing about it. That was his path. He chose that, and that's where he needs to be. But I looked at the mountain, same mountain. We were both at the same base, coming out of the same school. And he chose this route, and I chose that route. We're still going to the top. It's just different routes. So life is very important that we look back at our year and then look at that to gauge what's going to go on next year. So I already know, as an example, I have a couple companies that I have stakes in. And I have a couple nonprofits that I have developed. And these things are all exploding, like taking off. People that are wealthy are calling and going, I need to get in. How do I help? How do I get in on this? People that are wealthy and see the nonprofit and see what we're doing for the homeless and the ex-cons and all of these programs. There's a couple people talking about donating money to buy a place where we can actually house people, almost like a retreat. I hate to even use the word like a commune because I don't want that tone like the hippie commune, right? But something like that where people can just be in a community together. There's a lot of things that are happening. 2022 is going to be so exciting, but it wouldn't have happened. Or I shouldn't say it's not going to happen unless we look back at our year and see where we've come from, what hiccups, what ups and downs we've had, how to not have as many downs, and how to keep having the incline and that positive growth. We're going to go down next year. We're going to make mistakes in our marriage. You're going to make mistakes at your job, and that's okay. You're gonna eat too many calories one day, probably coming up pretty soon. I don't know, the 25th. I know me, and there's a bag of Lindell Lindt. What are those called? Truffles. OMG. I eat 2 full bags every Christmas. And if any of you are in the vicinity of me on that day, I will eat your entire bag. I will steal the Lindt truffles from little children, okay? I know it's despicable, but I love those things. But once a year, I choose to enjoy them. Now, next year, you might do that 2 or 3 times more than you should. And that's okay. It's okay. Because again, it's not about not making mistakes. It's about making as not making mistakes twice. So then you don't make as much. See, the older you see people, if they're wise, you say, look at that guy. Like, look at Billy Graham, right? Billy Graham, he's perfect. I have a good friend, his name's Chuck. He is, in my opinion, the quintessential perfect man. He is wise. He is secure in all aspects, finances, mentally, physically. He's losing his eyesight. He a powerful man. He was a sheriff. He's got a picture with him. He drove Billy Graham and Ruth Graham to the crusade when they were here. I mean, this man and his wife are like angels. But what's interesting is I talked to him and I asked him to mentor me in an area. And here's what I learned. He wasn't always that guy. He was like me. He was a normal person. And I say that because sometimes we put people on a pedestal. I think as a minister, I hear this one a lot. Oh, you're a pastor. Did you just say grown-ass men? Yes, I did. And I will not apologize for that. I will apologize if there was a little kid hearing it. But no, I don't. Okay? So, there are people who say that a minister should never do that. Okay. Interesting, but okay. That's your opinion. We all have different opinions. And so, again, ministers held on a pedestal. Our president swore. I'll never forget when I saw the tapes and you hear Nixon swearing. Oh my Lord, that guy swore like you've never imagined. And what about right before him, right? You had Lyndon Johnson. Old Lyndon Bean, he might have had some things missing. He did some great things, but he might have had some serious things missing. He would have to go to the bathroom, and in the White House, he would just go sit on the toilet, take down his pants, take a number 2, and have the door open, and his whole staff had to have the meeting right at the door with him while he's taking and going to the bathroom. In the White House, I've had the pleasure of being there. They have the room where all the broadcasts go out for the press releases. It's called the press room. That is built over a pool. That used to be a pool. Old Lyndon Bean used to swim in that pool butt naked and have his meetings right there, men and women. Okay? So we don't think about, no, they're the presidents, they're distinguished. Bill Clinton had an affair with the person on the Oval desk, the Kennedy desk. He's a human being. I don't support that. I don't support any political side. I'm telling you, every party has had their ups and their downs. And they're going to continue. And you're going to continue because you just can't put people on pedestals, including ourselves. We have to look at ourselves and say, I'm still just a human. And here's what I did for the year. Here's where I fell short. I missed my mark. Remember, you'll never hear any pastor at TCI saying you've sinned. Because that's not a word. That's an English word. The word that it comes from, that it's interpreted from, means to miss the mark. So I have missed the mark this year on many things, in my relationships, in my business, in my health, in consistency, in certain things that I really worked on but still missed it. So I missed the mark. Okay, how did I miss the mark? I analyze it. I look at my route that I took. Oh, how did I miss that? I wasn't paying attention. Okay, so next year, let's write that down. Pay attention more. Listen more. Look more. Think twice before you go. That's what I missed this year. I didn't do those steps. So next year, I'm looking at those steps in our organization. And I'm going to make sure we don't miss opportunities because I've missed a lot this year. So I saw what I made my mistake on, where I missed my mark, and I'm going to go forward next year and fix that. I'm going to try to improve my humility because one of my mentors is teaching me to be humble. Humbler. I don't even think that's a word. You need to be humble, he said. And I said, I agree. I'm trying. He says, you are. And you're a lot humbler than you were when you were in your 20s. But you need to keep on working on it. Okay. Yes, sir. So I've spent a year trying to work on that. Did I meet my goal? No, I missed it. But I make my goals so high. Remember? Dream a dream so big that your failure becomes a success. And I hit a mark of this. Like when I lost my weight, I said I want to lose 350 pounds. Or I'm sorry, what was it? 350 would have been 300. I wanted to lose 300 pounds because I was 450. Because the medical people said I was supposed to be 150 pounds or something for my height. Well, guess what? I didn't get it. I didn't lose 300 pounds. But I did lose 280. So in failing, I succeeded. Look at your year. What goal did you put, and how close did you get to succeeding? Because you made it. What if you would have made it bigger? Could you have raised that lid a little more? Think about that. Let's raise our lid for the 2022 as we're looking forward in this year. Next few weeks, that's what my messages are going to be talking about. Retrospect, looking back, and how we're going forward. And looking at the time of the year it is, trying to take this love that we feel and carry it throughout the whole year. So I love you guys. God loves you. We're going to wrap this up. You know the drill. Live positive. Do me a favor, guys, as we live positive this week. As you're rustling around to get all those last little gifts and presents for family and friends, remember it's not the price of the gift. It's not necessarily even what the gift is. Truthfully, it's simply you giving the world you and your love as a gift. We at TCI love you guys, and we're so grateful for all of your stories. We are so grateful for all of your contributions. For those of you that have been sending in money, there is great needs. We have families, one grandmother whose car needs to be fixed, and she's self-sufficient. She's not some homeless person who's just trying to take money. This is a beautiful woman who just needs a little help to get her car running. And so, there are needs. And if you have the call in your heart and you want to donate some money towards that, please reach out to us and find out how you can do that, to use that also as a tax write-off for you guys at the end of this year. We love you at TCI. Remember this, we don't ask for your money and we don't beg for your money. If you have no money, we don't want you to give us a dime. I'd rather you hear a lot of pastors say this, you give 10% of your income to God because that's what it says in the Bible. And God tells us he wants 10%. I'm going to tell you right now, BS. God doesn't want 10% of anything of yours. God doesn't need 10% of anything of yours. God has everything of yours. So, what is it then? If you have money, then God has blessed you with talent that you have fostered wealth. Then you are the person that needs to open up them doors. Come help us. But if you guys are broke, guess what? We'll teach you to take that 10% and go put it into a mutual fund. Go put it into an investment. We're going to encourage you to go find yourself a financial advisor at one of the notable places, a really good firm, I'm not going to endorse them online, but, we have mentors that can teach you. You need to have an investment portfolio going. You need to start planning for your child's future. And unfortunately, so often churches, and I'm going to tell you, I've got a family member who I've known that's my age. Their parents, who are no longer around, would have been 74 right now. That family was at my dad's church living poor as poor could be. Now let me tell you about that family. They kept just taking free offers from everybody, never trying to improve themselves, never cared about investing just $10 a week into a mutual fund, $10 a month into a mutual fund. Their son and me were friends, and we started out with the same thing in life. Nothing, right? Just these two hands. And he did the same thing. He didn't, $10 a month ain't going to help. Had he done that, had he just put $10 a week away, I saw him last year and I told him what he would have had. And he was just devastated. He didn't realize how much compound interest makes wealth. See, we at TCI aren't trying to beg for your money, and we don't want it. My salary at TCI, $1 a year. That's all I'll take. And that's for the remainder of my life, because I don't need your money. I know how to make my own money. So I've got mine. I contribute because I have. So if you do have, help us. We need resources. We're looking to buy a house that we can house people at right now. There's a lot going on. It's very exciting. I want you to go into your Christmas holidays thinking this one thought. What mountain did you climb this year? How did you do? Gauge it. Look at next year. See what you're doing. And if you've been blessed by God this year, turn around and bless somebody. Go open the door for someone. Go wish them a Merry Christmas or a Happy Holiday or a Happy Hanukkah. Whatever you're celebrating, please celebrate it in love. God bless.